we're sitting at the kitchen table and we were like, well, what if we don't buy this back? Then what do we do? And my sister and I were like, well, we're just going to start making it again in our kitchen because I can't live without it. And my sister's like, I can't live without it. And then my mom's like, I can't. And all of us at the table unanimously were like, we can't live without it. And our customers are telling us they can't live without it.
Welcome to the Our Family Invest podcast, where we explore what happens when family, purpose, and entrepreneurship align. I'm Mike, a former Maui firefighter who reached financial freedom in just 5 years through real estate investing.
And I'm Caroline, a Maui-based realtor here to educate, empower, and elevate my clients to make smart real estate moves, whether right here at home or through my nationwide network.
Together, we're chasing our full potential as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. We're here to build a life that matters. And each week we share the stories of couples who inspire us to love harder, dream bigger, and grow bolder. So join us and let's learn, share, and grow together. All right, today we are sitting down with Jodi Scott and Kelly Hoyt, a couple who know what it means to build, lose, and rebuild again. Together, they've launched multiple ventures, including the Winfield Inn and Green Goo, which they sold, then bought back after a wild ride involving federal raids, near financial ruin, and a fight to save both their business and their home. Through resilience practices like long hikes, cold plunges, fasting, and raw communication, they discovered that real turnaround wasn't just in the company, it was in themselves. This is going to be a story about grit, family, and leading from a place of values. All right, you two, I really want to unpack all of that. But first, I want to know who each of you are at your core. So, Jodi, if I were to ask you, who is the Kelly underneath all the success and accolades, what would you say? And then, Kelly, maybe you can answer the same for Jodi.
Oh, this was fun. Who is Kelly under all the accolades? A sensitive, curious, sweet soul that has the fear of missing out and can conquer anything.
Well, the Jodi that everybody knows is the one that is selfless and strives to take care of everybody and is always looking out for somebody else before herself. On a quiet Sunday morning, I'm not sure we have those, but she's very curious. She's wants to have fun. She wants to be in nature. And she wants to be with her family, I think. And she always wants to know what's for lunch. What are you guys having for lunch? Because that's very interesting.
So what are you guys having for lunch today?
I love that. It'll probably be a turkey sandwich on a bagel with lettuce, tomato. If it was just him, it would just be mustard.
Avocado.
And to Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, avocado. We have avocado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm.
He's not a planner.
A man, and I don't know what's for lunch or for dinner or for breakfast until I get hungry, and then I open the fridge and I look and I find whatever's on the first shelf. That's for breakfast or lunch or dinner.
Love it. And to his point, this is why I authentically ask this question, because I find I learned so much about people. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I love it. Can you tell us how you two first met and what your first date was like?
Yeah.
Which one do you want to take, Kelly? When we first met, and I'll take the other? Or do you want vice versa?
We first met in the woods. I was living in a Volkswagen bus up in Summit County and saving money for the summer. Was working in real estate, believe it or not, and would shower at the rec center and head into work and back up on the hill, and was trying to put some money away. And Jodi and her crew rolled up in a Volkswagen bus, and my brother and friend disappeared all of a sudden because they saw some girls in a Volkswagen bus and left me to take care of dinner and the fire and all that good stuff. So eventually I found them, and there was Jodi.
I love telling people I met my husband at a campsite. That's pretty great. And yes, we had our matching VW buses, so it was kind of kindred synergy.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good
I think
stuff.
we moved our buses
and when
together
I do tell people
in a week.
Okay.
We moved the buses all together in a week. Shared a campsite.
Yeah. Merge campsites.
Nice.
When I tell people I met my husband in a campsite, they're like, "What app is that?" And I'm like, "It's not an app. It's really the woods."
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
should be an app, a dating
Yeah.
app called Campsite.
Yeah.
Putting it out there to anyone who wants to do that.
Yeah. I love that.
Well,
So I
And
don't know if
then our first date.
was it when you were lost in the woods or in the apartment 10 years later?
So yes, I mean, I guess in theory, I did get lost before our campsites were merged together, and I had to find my way. I couldn't find my way back to my campsite, and yes, that in theory could have been the first date, but I attribute 10 years later. So we did not get together till 10 years later, and our first date. We were supposed to go out on this like, let's go out to dinner. We knew each other so well. I mean, we had been best friends for so long, and all kinds of adventures. And we had this whole night planned. And then we just stayed home and made mac and cheese and had a bottle of wine. And we were like, this is the best first date ever, and never left.
I thought our first date was washing dishes on the mountain, looking out.
We were
at the
living in the
stars.
woods.
Yeah. But no,
Knowing that you were both so you were so in tune with each other, you were best friends before you became romantically involved. Were you always aligned for your vision for life and family before you got together?
You want me to tell the story of
yeah,
5
go
kids
ahead.
versus 1?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'll never forget. I was like, this is before we were dating, and we're talking about how we envisioned our families. And I was like, I want 5 kids, and I'm slapping the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches together as they're running out the door, and it's chaos. And Kelly's like, no, I just want 1. And I just want to take care of that 1.
mhm. Yeah.
Give all
And
my
what do we
energy.
have today?
1.
Sounds familiar.
We have
I
1,
think-
but we've had many. So
Yeah. I think I would have a hard time sharing the love that I have for my son with multiple kids. I mean, I'm sure you learn to do that, right?
Mhm.
But like that's kind of how I thought too, Kelly. Like I can't imagine more than 1 kid. I'm a one and done kind of guy, and we have 1. So I'm
Yeah.
with you there.
Yes,
So-
we have 1. And then our house became the house where we were basically like my nephew, who was adopted from Ethiopia when he was 12. He lived with us for 5 years. We had a couple different cousins who were having a hard time. So that's how he made it up to me, is that our home became the home for anyone who needed refuge or a launch pad. And so
Oh, I
it
love
kind of
that.
all worked out.
That's great.
little
So-
fostering.
Okay, you guys, I know you have this incredible blend of psychology and business and tech, and it's not just one thing, but you've launched hospitality businesses. You're building, you're steering this Spry Life brand right now, and you've got a family farm, you've got dogs, you've got 1 kid and maybe several others running around at this point. I don't know. And you got a jungle of plants. So for our audience, can you just paint the picture of all the things you have going on in your life right now?
Well, we started in the hospitality business together. So what started out as a bed and breakfast that we were just going to do for the weekend evolved into multiple wedding venues, an equipment rental company, coordinating company, catering company. So Kelly went to school for business. I did not. I'm in the medical background. So thank goodness he had the business acumen, because I was pretty much just learning, a P&L 101, hard knocks life. Oop, lost money. How do we fix that kind of thing? But Kelly could really bring that acumen in. Anything you want to add to the Winfield Inn, Kelly?
Just psychology. It's always at the top of the list when you're running a business. And Jodi's, one of her greatest gifts is just being able to drop in and understand where people are coming from and relate to them. So from her background in school, but also just her personality.
Aw.
Nice.
Well, all that being said, then that's hard to take the baton from there. But we built that company and sold it. And then during that time, my sister is an herbalist and a midwife, and she shared with us her passion for making medicinal salves out of plants. And we love plants. One of our favorite things at the Winfield was gardening, and our gardens were just beautiful. We had it timed out. So like when the sun set, that's when the night gardenias would bloom or would come out, and the night blooming jasmine. And so you would get this nice aroma and the different seasons. And so we've always loved plants. My mom was really big into plants. We grew up in the military. And so she never wanted to grow a garden and then have to leave 3 or 6 months or 3 years later. So she did potted plants. So we would always bring our potted plants with us with everywhere we went.
There's still a lot of potted plants.
Yes, there is. And now she lives in a home where she doesn't have to leave, but she still does the potted plants, to your point.
A lot of
I think
them.
it's now
pretty awesome.
Yeah. It
Nice.
is pretty great. And so Green Goo was born. You know, my sister, mom, and I, and we kind of started out at the farmer's market. And Kelly, we'd fly up to Boise, Idaho, where we turned our kitchen there into a production facility. We grew the herbs in the backyard. We would dry them on old kitchen or old front door screen doors, and then dry them out. And our little buzzing kitchen became such a production that we actually had to take our camping equipment and build an outdoor kitchen for us to cook our food in. So we'd have our evenings in the outdoor kitchen, which was fun. And then we just worked that farmer's market. I tell you what, like we had the longest line. You want to tell a farmer's market story, Kelly?
I think
it was some long days.
Farmer's market. I think the most questions I got at the farmer's market were definitely about eczema, psoriasis, moms with kids that had rashes that they couldn't deal with. And they would come back and just be astonished and thank us. I mean, we still have people from that farmer's market buying our salves. And I mean, we've run into people that in our travels that have actually found us at that farmer's market. It was a great place to be and great community.
And really, that product became, John Hopkins started using that in their scleroderma and skin condition department for the last 10 years. And I really attribute that product as well to why we were able to scale and manufacture, because we were having a really hard time finding someone who would manufacture our products because we make the ingredients ourselves. We're not buying pre-made extracts that are already on the market. And so an individual met us at a trade show, and his son had eczema. He tried the dry skin formula, called us a week later and said, I don't know how we're going to scale this, but we're going to do it because the world needs these products. And then we got to be off to the races, really started going into retailers and expanding very quickly.
Wow. So this is Green Goo that started at a farmer's market, right? And it just caught wildfire. And all the ingredients are coming from, these are all like plant-based ingredients that you're growing yourselves?
Yeah, so at that time we were growing the plants, but then when we started manufacturing, we were finding, sustainable fair trade sources, but taking the actual plants to the manufacturing facility, taking them through that extraction process, yielding the highest amounts of the medicinal properties, and then those custom oils would go into all of the products. And so you can't get these ingredients anywhere on the market in this blend that you do. And why those plants were chosen and how they're blended and the concentration, that entourage effect is why that efficacy is so high.
Wow. That's incredible.
And the knowledge came from your sister's background of being an herbalist?
It did. And it was pretty great between us growing up around plants and then my sister studying herbalism and then me being pre-med and having that organic chemistry background. I was able to facilitate how to scale these products or, work with the manufacturer. And so it was just really like the perfect trio of knowledge to take it forward.
Wow. That's amazing. So what was that first real business win? What did that look like?
AFES.
terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. We grew up in the military, right? And what we had recognized is that the military was always the last to get any of the clean, natural ingredients or products. And so my sister and I were really passionate about bringing products to the military exchanges. And so we got the meeting, and I'm walking in, and I'm like talking to someone there in the waiting room, and she's like, this is the second largest retailer in the world. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know that. And I was like, don't tell me this anymore. And then we get in there, or I get in there because I went solo. I drew the short straw. My mom and sister were like, nope, we're not doing it. And so I get in there, and they're like, okay, well, like, we're going to need line sheets and PDQs, and we're going to do this end cap. And do you what are your UPCs? And I'm just looking at her like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I just scribbled a bunch of notes down and I'm like, we got the sale, guys. I don't know how we're going to do it. What's EDI? Not sure, but we'll figure it out.
What is EDI for the people that don't know, like me?
Yeah,
Go
asking
ahead,
for a
Kelly.
plan.
Electronic data interchange. It's how we send communications between companies. So a purchase order comes in a standard format. I send back an acknowledgement and then a invoice eventually after I send it. So it's just a way to communicate with the standard language between companies.
Wow.
And thank
What
goodness
a-
for
what a-
Kelly's tech background.
Yes.
I didn't
And
know
you guys
that
must
either.
have had to learn on the fly, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh
there's-
yeah,
And
it's
so
learning on the
how
fly.
how long did it take to go from farmers market to like into these huge distributors?
Oh,
You know,
gosh.
I mean, we were in the farmers market for a few years, and until we registered our products with the FDA, had this meeting with APHIS, and then I would say from that point, I mean, we expanded to 150,000 points of distribution within like 4 years. It was
Wow.
very quick.
But
And then
there's,
of course that's going into COVID as well.
yeah, and
Wow.
that would probably be like 16 to 20 or something like
Mhm.
that, 4 or 5
Yeah.
years in there. So
Amazing.
Yeah. I think 2017
That
was
sounds like
Amazon.
it sounds like exponential growth, right? And everything looks amazing, amazing, amazing. And then you go to sell the company. Walk us through that, because I know just a little bit of what you told me earlier, but I want to hear the full story.
Well, we went through COVID, right? And we had sanitizer in our portfolio. And so it was pretty bananas, to say the least. We had, 6 or 7 different packing locations. Kelly working around the
least.
clock,
Yeah.
and getting sanitizer out, because we have first responders who need this.
And soap.
There's frontline people. And so,
Yeah.
right.
Like liquid soap.
And then, of course, and then salves because your hands are dry. So, it was a very much fight or flight time period for us, and a lot of bootstrapping. I mean, we're competing against the biggest names in consumer packaged goods, especially OTC, and they've got 50, 75 years under their belt, right? And very well funded. And so we recognize we just are not going to be able to compete with that. And so we started looking at, different kinds of investors and so forth. And we did have some interest in companies that were chemical laden companies that wanted like a plant-based bolt-on. I just didn't feel like that matched our DNA. And so we found a company out of Australia that their mission and vision was very much to grow a plant-based portfolio. So it looked like on paper, really great alignment. And we were going to grow with them. So yes, we were selling it. We didn't own it anymore, but we were partners in this going forward. So we were really excited about taking it global. And soon thereafter, one of their founders was raided by the feds and faced a number of legal and financial allegations. And the shorter version of that story is eventually this company suffered financially, was delisted, a number of fines and so forth. And we had less than 24 hours to fire our entire family. mom and sister, husband, brother-in-law, best friends who had changed their careers to come and do business with us. And it was terrifying because now we're unemployed. We don't own our company. We didn't get any, financial compensation for it. And we're going, what are we going to do with our lives? And our entire families had all invested into this. So, yeah, it was a pretty dark time. And that was when we started plunging, cold plunging, extra long hikes to just get grounded and go, what do we want to do? Like, we had spent the first decade in fight or flight mode, and we knew that fight or flight was not going to serve us in this next season, and that we really needed to dig deep to determine what our next step was going to be. And we ultimately landed, and feel free to chime in anytime, Kelly. Like, we landed with, we know this business better than anyone else. We're not done with this, and we're going to keep fighting for it. So it took us about 18 months to unravel it and get it out, and we were able to successfully do that. But I always tell the story, and during this time period, and this is just an example of how hard it was. There's no streaming anymore. Like, I'd love to watch the, different things on the TV. That's not happening. And at one point, my daughter's like, why is there so much garbage at the front door? And I'm like, because we can't pay for the garbage pickup this month, And I mean, it was tough. It was really tough. Kelly, would you like to revisit this very dark time?
No.
As you probably get the willies of like, oh, shake it off. Let's go cold plunge after this.
Yeah.
Hey family, real quick. If you'd rather watch your content, head over to Our Family Invests on YouTube. You'll find this episode and all our episodes over there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your takeaways in the comments. Now, back to the show. And thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable, because there are dark times. Like, that is part of the journey of life, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you grow. So just to revisit that a little bit, around the kitchen table, you're discussing this, and can't pay for trash pickup. So how did that conversation and that pivot to buy back the company even go? What was the kind of process of that?
Well, I think we weren't sure how we were going to do it. I mean, there's definitely, how is this going to happen? And I'd say mentors, right, Kelly? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a daily unknown. So I had to stop drinking caffeine for sure. I couldn't take the wild ride, the ups and the downs. So it's been many years now. And
wow,
we would just wake up and start again, and wake up and start again, and not give up until 10 o'clock at night. And every single day, you just don't know if it's going to completely fall apart out from under you at that moment, or if you can make it to the next day. And that's really ultimately what we had to do. This last couple of weeks, we've been like, we're planning for the future. We're building forecasts. We're modeling out how this is going to look. And I just look back at it, and there's like 2 years where we just had to survive the day and move on to the next and survive that day. And now we're actually beginning to be able to look forward and say, what are we going to do next month? What are we going to do in 6 months? What's this look like in 2 years? And so it feels good to, find that again. Yeah.
So true. So true. And that was the power of getting present, and then being able to be in tune to listen, and to ask for help when you're like so vulnerable and so just beat down. And it was like, anyone who I could be like, teach me what it means to buy back a company, teach me strategy. Where is their financing out there? Here's what we have equity in the house. How can we get creative and do these things? And so many people were willing to just spend time with us and strategize with us. And every day, there would be where you think there's a path and then it wasn't going to work. And then you wake up the next day going, to Kelly's point, or we're starting all over again. Okay, let's just keep going. And there were many times where one of us, like, it was really great, Kelly, that both of us didn't break at the same time because we somehow managed to alternate that. When I couldn't stop crying and couldn't like get my head up, you were like there coaching me and like cheering me on, and then we'd switch. And that was really good because I think if we both had a hard day together.
A lot of self-discovery and a lot of together discovery, like just learning about ourselves, but learning about each other and how to work as a team, how to put away the negative thoughts and focus on the positive, not be angry. It is what it is. You've been given something, so you got to work with it. And if you don't, well, then it beats you. So you got two choices: be beat or get up and go for it again.
Yeah. So this whole process took place over, you were saying 18 months. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
I did.
So at that point, like you made the agreement to sell the company to this Australian-based company, right? And then at some point, the feds came in, raided the CEO of the Australian company, and then you had to figure
the
out
founder, but it's okay.
Oh, the founder.
It was,
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But through this, you've made the agreement to sell, but you're still involved with the company, right? So you haven't fully sold with them yet, and now you're trying to unravel this whole thing.
So
that's wild.
Selling, and that was part of the challenge. Is it was sold. We didn't own it, and there's a period of time where it was just kind of business as usual. And I think they authentically thought it was going to just pass, and it wasn't going to be an issue. And then it became very clear that that wasn't the case. And unfortunately, like, to unravel something like that when you don't own it, it's in a public company, you have to go. So even if you can get the board and the team to agree to start that process, you still have another process of approval that's way outside your control. And so there was just a constant, there was just a constant technicality. And of course, no one, when they're in that state and they're dealing with that thing, our problem isn't their problem. You know what I mean? They've got other problems that they're dealing with. And so to try to be at the top of that list so that we can because production had stopped. We're getting kicked off the shelves everywhere. Customers are like, why can't I get our product? And you're just watching it and you're like, I can't keep this thing going. Like, I can't control anything that's happening to keep this thing alive. And I mean, we're still dusting, I call it dusting off the asset. But when we bought it back, that was a risk in itself because we're like, are they going to come back? Are people going to? And the emails kept coming and they were cheering us on and saying, this is the only product that works for us. My son's a paraplegic. It's the only thing that I can use for, wound care and so on. But then when we finally do, it's still a risk in itself. And so we when they say you betted the farm, because we live on the farm, like, we were saying, okay, we're going to take this risk and assume the farm in exchange for being able to get this thing done.
Wow. So you did actually get it back so that you had control and went on the limb of the product itself and the results to basically repair the brand.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride. And the customers saying that they haven't been able to find anything to replace it has been fascinating. And I feel the same way. I mean, here's the kitchen table moment you mentioned. We're sitting at the kitchen table and we were like, well, what if we don't buy this back? Then what do we do? And my sister and I were like, well, we're just going to start making it again in our kitchen because I can't live without it. And my sister's like, I can't live without it. And then my mom's like, I can't live. And all of us at the table unanimously were like, we can't live without it. And our customers are telling us they can't live without it. And we're like, okay, guys, message, let's go. And
Yeah.
I like literally we couldn't live without it. Or wouldn't
Wow.
want to. Wouldn't
And
want
I'm
to. It
gonna
wouldn't be as much fun.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to get my hands on this product.
So you guys have gone through more stresses, and like I can't imagine the amount of pressure that whole ordeal must have taken, and not just like a week, a month,
Yeah.
like
The time.
years.
Yeah.
So when you're going through this as a couple, how does it not break you? What do other couples need to know about surviving a business storm without letting it wreck their marriage?
You got to make sure you attack the problem and not each other. I mean, I think that because frustrations, you get frustrated and emotions are red hot, man. And you just got to stop and not attack each other and respect when the other person needs to just to bow out and be done. Sometimes you just got to take that breather and walk away and be okay with the other person having to do that.
It's so true. And respecting that, because sometimes you're like in the heat of the moment and you want to keep going. And when that's someone, Kelly's like, okay, I need a timeout. It is like 100% respecting that. And it's prioritizing the relationship, right? Because that relationship is first and foremost. And like he said, we need to attack the challenge, the problem, not the person. And I think with that comes like really defined roles too, and respecting the role that someone plays within the organization. And we've been able to do that like with our sister or my sister and my mom, and taking that practice that we've learned in our relationship and make it a productive family business. Because if you don't let people do their roles and trust in that, then it can create a really toxic environment for sure.
Yeah. So I like that you mentioned earlier on, you mentioned cold plunges and the long hikes and fasting and all that stuff. Which one has been the most surprising for you as far as how it changed your mental game?
I think, well, I started fasting several years ago. So in 2020, is when I really started that. And I don't do it all the time, but most weeks I will do intermittent fasting. And every month I try to go like push for 24 hours. And I think I saw things heal with my body that I did not ever expect to heal. And my mental clarity for sure was improved, especially just watching diet and wheat and using that fasting to, just I think it just really helps your brain. Like you start burning a different type of energy, and your brain just becomes super clear. And for cold plunging, if you haven't tried it, man, I was a skeptic, such a skeptic. But if I have inflammation, I can go cold plunge and it's gone. It's gone for a good 12 hours. It's amazing what it can do. Oh, and it's great for your head.
Yeah, it is. I'll say cold plunging for me. So I grew up as a competitive swimmer, and I have a massive aversion to cold water because we would leave the indoor pool for the outdoor pool like at least 2 months too early, and we would have like ice crystals forming on top of the water when we would be swimming. I guess somebody was trying to save money, and so I until I started cold plunging, I was like, if it's not 90 degrees, I'm not swimming in it. And when I was just like, I couldn't afford anything expensive, right? To like, I'm going to go shopping or go out for a nice dinner to like, just kind of get my head out of it. I was like, okay, a lot of people are getting benefits from this. And I have a river that's right here. I'm going to go do it. And, for me, that mind body resilience, I mean, I would sit there and just like get into that slow, deep breathing as I'm like expelling the stress and the thoughts and the rumination, and then just like dropping in and feeling that sense of peace and balance. And you get out of that water and you're like, all right, ready, bring it. And so for me, I was the biggest skeptic on that. And I'm just like, I crave it now.
Really?
I do too.
I've done the cold plunge thing a number of times, and I cannot get used to it. That is for sure. That's
You're
a
not
tough one
supposed
for
to.
me. Yeah, maybe, but I will choose the sauna 100 times out of 100 over the cold plunge.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love the sauna too, though. That's a
Yeah.
good one as well.
Okay. All right, good. Well, at least I'm halfway there then.
Yeah.
So, okay, you guys have got, a child, 3 dogs, a farm full of plants, which already feels like its own kind of empire. What part of your life feels the most alive to you right now?
The most alive. I mean, we do live in a little like jungle in this little oasis, so I'm super grateful for having that around us. I'll say one of the things that also got me through the tough times was we have this beautiful spot on the back porch where you can see the full moon rise. And I was like, you know what? The average person only gets like if you live a good average life, you get like 950 full moons your entire life. And I was like, why am I going to waste this whole moon cycle being frustrated and just really like appreciate the moments? And so I think being in this sanctuary with my family just is that like energy and that alive feeling with my husband, partner. Um, it's very energetic and it's because we kind of like live in a garden and we're doing products with plants and uh it just feels very grounding and energizing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is there something small or ordinary that you consistently do as a family to bring you folks joy?
I think sitting on the back porch outside is probably our favorite thing to do. We might be invited to, we don't go out very much. We spend a lot of time just outside together.
Love
Our
it.
dogs, literally, if it's like 5 o'clock and we go to the back door where it takes you to the back porch, they're like, all right, game on. I mean, even the dogs, they like want to be out on the back porch with us. And it's like the moment. So it's definitely very sweet. And
That's
I
great.
think we've learned to, having gone through this, the value of just remaining present and the simple moments that you get. So, like when we're driving to school or volleyball, it's not uncommon for us to be like, "Hey, Kira, go look at the horizon. Really look at your surroundings. What are you grateful for? What are some opportunities and some of the challenges that are being presented to you?" And bringing some of those tools that we developed and learned and bringing them into these like small moments. And it just helps her get present and also develop those skills that are going to help her at a much younger age.
I love
Emotional
that.
intelligence.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah, that's so good. It's so important to be present in the moment, I think. And I think that there's so many people that are just so caught up in this busy world that could really take a breath and be in a much happier spot. So I love that you do that. I want to ask you, you mentioned your daughter, Kira. If we were to ask her what it's like growing up in your home, what do you think she'd say?
Well, I asked her this question last night and she had just come back from volleyball and she looked at me, she goes, "May I have a minute to think about it?" And then we never got, I was super curious to just see what, or
I love
hear
that. I
what
would
she
love
would
to hear
say.
her take.
Yeah. So we'll offer that information, in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
I think, and feel free to add to this, Kelly, but I feel like, she would say that we're like the hardest working people that she knows. And she has an immense amount of gratitude. I mean, she just says thank you all the time. We were somewhere and a friend observed this and their children actually said, "Kira has such gratitude for everything. Like she's always saying thank you." And it's so authentic. And so I think she has a deep appreciation for everything around her and, not just like stuff. And I think that resilience, and she's been listening to us talk about business since she was little. So she probably knows more things than she wants to.
Yeah, or she should at
Love
14.
it.
Yeah, but
All right, guys, this has been great, and we'll start wrapping it up here. But I want to ask you the same 4 questions that we ask all our guests, okay? And this starts with, who are 3 people, books, or places that inspire you?
Well, People is my husband. So I'm going to jump in, Kelly. People is my husband because he reminds me to be curious all the time and that I can work any problem out. So thank you. I appreciate that. My favorite books, I love Man's Search for Meaning and Atlas Shrugged. And what's interesting about those 2 books, they are completely the opposite ends of the spectrum. One is about like innovation and like purpose, and then the other is just kind of like you can find meaning in really difficult times. But I think they just kind of funnel really well together in terms of the gift. Like it is a gift to be able to innovate, and it's a privilege, and it's also a privilege to find the beauty in the difficult times. And you said books, person, and there was one more.
Places.
Places. Nature. Yeah. In the mountains. Can't
Love it.
nature anywhere. The beach. I wish we had more beach. Go ahead, Kelly.
well, for sure, my wife Jodi, it's her complete selflessness, her ability to ground me. She's always, pretty much always cool under pressure and stays above the line, helps us stay above the line, really challenges us as a family to be better people to ourselves, to each other, to the world. And it's really helps me align with my why. So when we built the business and branded it Green Goo and came up with our taglines, I really went with Simon Sinek's The Why and how he broke it down. So we spent months in what we call the think tank and just focusing on the why and trying to build this mission statement. So we had mission statements that were a month long, and we finally ended up just spread goodness. And I think Jodi just helps me spread goodness. And my favorite days are talking to the elderly woman on the telephone and helping her cancel her subscription to some other company that she thought I was. She's not buying anything from me, but it was a really fun day, right? Like hanging out with people and helping them out and just making them smile. My place, I really enjoy old places, ancient civilizations, old buildings. And it just reminds me that everything is a cycle and it's all happened before and it's all going to happen again. And the more you pay attention to how those cycles work, and pay attention to the history, and the better you're going to be prepared for what comes next. And then I think one of my favorite people right now that I've really enjoyed over the last several years is Dr. Andrew Huberman. And I'd say him just because of the science and taking science and actually being able to use your understanding of the systems of the body to instill or enact change in your own behaviors that completely can affect your life and change your life in positive ways. And actually having that tool is, I find, totally amazing.
Yeah. How do you find peace?
I go outside. It's straight up. I go outside and I have a chair outside the warehouse back there, and I sit and I hang out with the rabbits and the turkeys and the deer, the bobcat, the mountain lions, the bears, and I'm not joking, they all come by. And the birds in the trees, and that helps me. So I go there every day. And
I love it.
I think that's one of our biggest fixes, and to get our head straight on any given day, any week, is to go out and have a walk in nature.
Get moving.
Yeah.
Same be for you, Jodi?
It is. It's nature and moving. I love to get moving, and that really helps me get grounded and have clear thoughts, or let the thoughts go, and just get present in nature. So, yep. And it's free, everybody. It doesn't cost you anything. That's the best part.
Yeah.
So true. If you could whisper a sentence to your younger self, what would that be?
God.
Mine would be savor the moment, savor the present. I mean, they joke around that I was a bee in a
funny.
past life, because I was always, running around. And I think I would love if I just savored every moment just that much more. And so I try to remind myself of that on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's
That's
funny.
great.
I picked the same thing. Relish the moment.
Oh, that's
think-
good.
In life, you can just get so busy that you aren't appreciating what you really have right in front of you. And if you can do that, it just makes it so much better.
Nice.
Just be.
Guys, we like to end by saying we learn, we share, we grow. What is one thing that you've learned recently that's kind of made you slow down and breathe and just see life a little differently?
I used to think resilience meant pushing forward and going harder. And now I look at resilience really more as recovering better, like spending more time in that recovery place, because it can serve you so well. And I think it's often overlooked in success. And so for me, that's a real area of growth that I didn't appreciate as much as I do now.
Yeah. I would say that I had a realization that entrepreneurs really, they're getting their dopamine hits from the journey and not the destination. And that whole phrase, the saying, enjoy the journey, it's not about the destination. Entrepreneurs truly get off and get their dopamine hits on that journey. And they get to the end of it, and all they want to do is go back, find another journey. So if you can find a way to train yourself to get your dopamine hits on the journey, watch Dr. Huberman. You'll figure it out. I think it helps you be a successful entrepreneur.
Nice.
Thank you both so much for coming on with us today, sharing your incredible, vulnerable story and the fact that you're still growing and continuing to bloom. If our audience wants to connect with you or find your product, what is the best way for them to do that?
Greengoo.com and Amazon. That'd be the best place to find Green Goo.
Perfect.
Awesome.
You can hit us up on the support page and email us anytime.
Awesome.
I read those every day.
Guys, thanks again for coming on with us. You guys are incredible. Have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you.
Have a
It was
beautiful
nice to meet
one.
you
It was
all.
a pleasure being with you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being part of the family today. If you want a closer look at our journey through real life, business, and all the wild adventures, follow us on Instagram at Our Family Invest. And for free resources to help you on your own path, head to ourfamilyinvest.com.
If you like this episode, send it to a friend. And if you're feeling extra generous, drop us a quick review. It really helps us grow this community. Thank you so much for being part of our family today. We really, truly appreciate you.